Is there anything I dislike about retro game collecting? Number one, space. Yep, the good old concept of space. Space is something we all need to live. I like a lot of space, but unfortunately, there have been many times in my retro game collecting journey when space has been a massive issue. Take the previous game room, for example. It became overly cluttered, overly crowded, and quite frankly, I'd completely lost track of the entire collection. I didn't realise this until I actually moved a couple of years ago. I did document the entire journey on the Lady Lounge Moving Vlog playlist, and it wasn't until everything landed at this end, the new house, that I realised how many doubles I actually had, and I ended up giving a load of PlayStation 2 games doubles to charity, and of course selling some more worthwhile doubles over on my Facebook page. But I digress slightly. Space is an issue, and it's even an issue now across the Lady Lounge and the Lady Loft. It's, for me, things like collector's editions. I've definitely stopped buying collector's editions unless it's something special like Tears of the Kingdom. It was a modest collector's edition by any stretch of the imagination, say compared to the likes of this thing, for example, Cyberpunk 2077, so it wasn't too bad because I had lots of space to be able to fit it, but it's the clunkier stuff that drives me crazy these days as a collector. I genuinely have gone off collector's editions purely because of space, and let's face it, price is pretty up there as well. You know, it can cost in excess of £200 to £300 sometimes for a collector's edition piece to actually get it home and realise you have nowhere for it to go. So for me, I've tweaked the collection a little bit just to kind of dull it down in terms of getting it in the rooms. I know a lot of you guys online, I've seen tweets, I've seen videos of people having very similar issues, and I'll be honest with you, there's some changes that I'm going to be making into the Lady Lounge to potentially make better space of the walls. Maybe that means smaller shelves, little kind of some kind of weird hanging basket idea that I've got going on in my head, things that I can use to maximise the space, but as it stands, the floor space is pretty full. I recently did a cleaning video and I didn't realise how much crap had accumulated on the floor from things that I'd purchased. So again, I've made change into my spending habits and I've actually cut back quite significantly. I'm going now for quality over quantity in my collection, as I feel that there are, yes, some basic games I am still missing and wanting, but on the whole I'm going to fine tune, and in particular I'd really like to find this Super Nintendo console, which is the Super Game Boy crate. Quite expensive, but it's one that I do want to add to my SNES console collection. So all in all, one thing that really knocks me about collecting in the retro gaming field is the lack of space. But let's face it, I guess you've got to kind of sometimes manipulate the environment you're in to make it work for you. So titivating around with the shelf space is my next project here.
All those console variations.
I need a few seconds of your time to tell you about channel memberships. If you guys want to become a channel member, click join from the main page or the second link in the description. There are 3 tiers, all with different perks for you if you want to become a team member. Thanks for your time. Let's continue with the video.
Between the Japanese PAL and NTSC regions, there are different console variants, and sometimes it can become a little bit discombobulating to think how many Super Nintendo variations? Because just when you think you've collected them all, another one pops up online, another obscure console variation, and you're like, okay. And I guess it's a very minor problem, and it's not really a massive bugbear of mine. It's certainly not as big of an issue compared to like running out of space, but there are some variations that are incredibly difficult to get hold of, especially the Australian variations of Super Nintendos. I see them go for tens of thousands of Australian dollars on the Facebook groups that I'm in, and I often wonder how cheap they would be if I was Australian in Australia. Would they be as expensive, or is it the fact that I'm in the UK and it's more of a commodity because you don't have it on your doorstep and we'd have to import it, etc. So sometimes it feels a little bit overwhelming, the amount of different box arts. And Jess made a very good point about PlayStation 2 games, for example. Our PlayStation 2 spines here in PAL Regions are very boring white with black text. It looks awful on the shelves, if I'm honest. I'd much prefer the awesome NTSC spines, which have a little bit more flair, colour and art. You know, if you think to our PAL original Xbox cases, they're not boring. They have awesome font and they look really cool on the shelf. Why can't PAL PlayStation 2 games have been like that? You know, and it again just shows that difference in the regions and how it just differs region to region, you know, exactly what I'm kind of getting at there. So the region differences can be very, very annoying at times, and I did go through a phase where I felt like I had to have the Japanese, the PAL and the American version, and I do like that for my Super Nintendo collection. But as far as collecting all the different region variants for any other console, be it handheld or console, I'm just not interested. It's about scaling back and really just focusing down the collection, hampering down to what you will enjoy, because I do like the artwork as well, I'm not going to lie. I think Japan has the best video game artwork out of the 3 regions, there's no doubt in my mind, and I have in the past been a bit of a sucker for buying video games just because of their artwork. So there's that kind of side of me as well, but enough of that, we need the space. So different variations of consoles across different regions can be a little bit overwhelming at times.
Not having a price on.
Walking into a retro game shop and seeing video games and consoles and peripherals that are deliberately not priced. I've been into a few shops that I'm not going to mention because I think sometimes bad press is good press for these people. I've been into a shop, you get to the till and they immediately jump on eBay for prices. I like eBay, I've sold on eBay, I've purchased on eBay. You can support local businesses that way. eBay is both a blessing and it's a curse. But the curse for me is when people use it as the absolute imperative objective measure of the value of a video game. eBay is not a valuation site. Yes, you can take the average prices, and I've done that many a times in videos where I've looked at average prices of games and I've used it as a bit of a leverage point in a video. But in terms of actual monetary business terms in a shop, it's very different in a shop, because on eBay people might not have all the overheads as a shop might, so you know, but then I've been in shops where people have priced things astronomically even more expensive than eBay, so it's kind of weird. So going into a shop, things aren't priced, it's always a red flag for me. I always like to know what things cost, because I know what things are worth anyway, or at least what they're worth to me or what I'm willing to pay. You get to the till, you know, 5 or 10 minutes later they come shuffling back out and they go, yeah, £700 please, and you're like, bruv, this game is about £150 at max. Where do you get this £700 from? And it might be that someone, you know, I've literally done this. I've gone on eBay to, I think it was a copy of Lethal Enforcers on the Super Nintendo. It was ridiculous money this guy had quoted me. I jumped straight on eBay, right? Yeah, blessing and a curse, I know. Typed it in and it was the first hit on eBay. It was a for sale, not a sold, a for sale post, and he just price matched it off that first post, and I was like, bro, no thank you. And I ended up putting 3 things back and just kind of walked out, because it annoyed me the fact that you took 5 to 10 minutes of like your time, my time, to come back and give me a bit of a shady price. So I like to go into a shop, I like to know what to expect, I like a good experience, I don't like to be robbed at the till, I don't mind supporting local businesses, I'm all about that life, but I just think it's a little bit of give and take. You know, you can't have a business without your customer, and the customer can't have the experience without the business, so I think the 2 things do need to work in tandem with one another, and unfortunately there are some retro game shops out there, none that I deal with anymore, I won't go in them anymore, that unfortunately are scalpers. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, guys. I hope you're having a lush day. If you've got anything but a mild bit of entertainment from this video, I'm happy, and I hope you guys can subscribe and leave a like rating. But for now, I'm gonna leave you to it. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.